Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister's podcast with AI researcher Lex Friedman to be aired today. Podcast covers diverse topics, including Prime Minister's journey in public life. New Zealand's Prime Minister Christopher Luxon set to arrive in India today to hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. US launches wave of airstrikes on Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthis over group's attacks against Red Sea shipping. Trump also warns Iran. US President Donald Trump signs order to gut Voice of America and 6 other federal agencies. And deadly tornadoes rip through several parts of US, at least 33 killed. More tornadoes forecast in southeastern states. United States has launched large-scale airstrikes against Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels on Saturday, targeting their attacks on Red Sea shipping. The strikes, which killed at least 24 people, marks the largest U.S. military operation in the Middle East since Trump took office. More in this report. United States launched military strikes against Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthis on Saturday over the group's attacks against Red Sea shipping, warning hell will rain down upon you if the Houthis do not abandon their campaign. Video shared by the US Central Command on Saturday shows a ship firing missiles and a strike on a ground building seen from above. Trump in Truth Social post wrote, "Today I have ordered the United States military to launch decisive and powerful military action against the Houthi terrorists in Yemen. They have waged an unrelenting campaign of piracy, violence and terrorism against American and other ships, aircraft and drones. To all Houthi terrorists, your time is up and your attacks must stop starting today. If they don't, hell will rain down upon you like nothing you have ever seen before." It was the first such strikes against the group since President Donald Trump took office in January. Trump in his post also warned Iran, asking it to stop backing Houthis. Trump wrote to Iran, "Support for the Houthi terrorists must end immediately. Do not threaten the American people, their president, who has received one of the largest mandates in presidential history, or worldwide shipping lanes. If you do, beware, because America will hold you fully accountable and we won't be nice about it." In response, a Revolutionary Guard commander says Iran will stand firm against any threats. The Houthis began attacking ships near the Red Sea in late 2023, after a period of relative calm coinciding with a ceasefire in Gaza in January. Houthis announced on Tuesday that they will attack any Israeli ship that violates the group's ban on Israeli ships passing through the Red and Arabian Seas, the Bab al-Mandab Strait and the Gulf of Aden. Fuzail Ahmed reports for DD India. Israeli strikes on Gaza have reportedly claimed lives of about 9 people, including journalists, in the latest update, sparking outrage and accusations of a blatant violation of the fragile truce. The truce in place since January 19 has largely halted over 15 months of fighting. Hamas officials have begun fresh talks in Doha, with Israel sending negotiators. However, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that Hamas has not budged in the talks. The Israeli military claimed it targeted militants operating a drone, but the Palestinian journalist syndicate condemned the attack as a heinous crime and a war crime under the Juneja Convention. Reporters Without Borders reported that over 140 journalists have been killed in Gaza by the Israeli military since October 2023. The truce talks are ongoing, with Hamas offering to release an Israeli-US hostage and return the bodies of 4 others. The situation remains tense with 58 hostages still held in Gaza, 34 of whom the Israeli army has declared dead. Now, Israel says it is prepared to continue Gaza ceasefire talks based on the mediator's response to a U.S. proposal for the release of 11 living hostages and half of the deceased, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said on Saturday. And U.S. President Trump's directives have led to the placement of over 1,300 Voice of America employees on leave and the termination of funding for Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty and Radio Free Asia. Voice of America's director Michael Abramowitz expressed sadness, stating the organization has played a crucial role in promoting freedom and democracy worldwide. The U.S. Agency for Global Media, Voice of America's parent agency, employs around 3,500 workers with an $886 million budget. Trump's order also targeted 6 other federal agencies, aiming to reduce their operations to the minimum required by law. The move has been criticized by free press advocates, with the National Press Club and Reporters Without Borders condemning the cuts. The funding termination affects Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, which broadcasts to Eastern Europe, and Radio Free Asia, which broadcasts to China and North Korea. The move has sparked concerns about the impact on press freedom worldwide. And hundreds of demonstrators protest at a site earmarked for Beijing's controversial new embassy in London. Royal Mint Court, a listing building with the Chinese government owns and plans to convert into a new mega embassy, would become the largest embassy in Europe if approved. Protester and Uyghur activist Rahima Mahmud said that this huge embassy will enable China to do their repression outside of their country.
This site will be a hub for transnational repression. It will make extremely unsafe for the activists like myself. We Uyghurs been oppressed not only inside the Uyghur region, the East Turkestan, but also outside China. And having this huge embassy, it will enable China to do their transnational repression, to make it impossible for our safety to be guaranteed in this country. And we know this place is not going to be a place for diplomacy, it's a place for spying.
The CCP has already demonstrated their embassy service goes beyond just diplomacy, but also they conduct transnational repression and intelligence services. So there's not possible to, to have an authoritarian regime to have the largest embassy in the UK.
The party is conducting a campaign of transnational repression that directly threatens our freedoms and security in this country. So it seems crazy to be giving them this huge new embassy. And of course, the Chinese Communist Party is also complicit in not only repression within China, the genocide of the Uyghurs, the crackdown on Hong Kong, atrocities in Tibet, but also facilitating Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine, atrocities in Myanmar, North Korea. So China is not a friend, it's a threat to our freedoms and our security, and we shouldn't be giving them this embassy.
And deadly tornadoes ripped through several southeastern states of U.S., leaving at least 33 people dead and many injured. The tornadoes ravaged several southeastern states, including Missouri, Arkansas and Texas. Unfavorable weather destroyed homes, overturned large trucks and downed trees and power lines. The tornado was part of a severe weather outbreak moving east across the southeastern United States. Severe weather has caused significant damage across the region. The destruction has displaced residents. Emergency services and rescue efforts are underway. Forecasters warned of more tornadoes to come over the weekend, targeting Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi and Tennessee. The deadly tornado have left many residents in shock, struggling the torrential weather.
We've got a total loss on our canopy. We've lost our compressor units to our coolers. We had several vehicles, tractor trailers that were damaged, our roof, the roof to our storage building. Trying to think of what, there's just so much. We've lost all of our food. all of the stuff that's in the freezers and refrigerators, everything in our cooler with the compressor going out. So the food's a pretty big, I mean, this is all a big loss. We've lost all of our pumps. They were pulled out of the ground.
I had a lot of debris that was on the side of the truck and just around the truck area, whatever. And me and the other truck drivers, we came together and we, moved all the debris from in front of the trucks and everything like that.
And raging wildfires in the state of Oklahoma have devastated at least 170,000 acres of land, destroying nearly 300 structures and leaving thousands without power. The wildfires were fueled by a combination of controlled burns, dry weather conditions and strong winds. The state experiences hundreds of wildfires annually, affecting thousands of acres of land. White plumes of smoke continued to rise from small isolated fires that were burning in the dry brush. And snow covers the city of Saint-Étienne and the surrounding countryside in eastern central France. The heavy snowfall has led to challenging driving conditions, especially in rural areas. In response, 3 departments in the northern part of the massive central have been placed on orange alert due to the ongoing snow and ice conditions. Local authorities are urging residents to take precautions with icy roads posing risks to travelers. Many people protest outside the Mexican presidential palace in Mexico City, demanding answers from the government regarding the recent discovery of a mass grave site in the western state of Jalisco that is believed to be linked to the country's violent drug gangs. The families of the missing, many of whom were present at the demonstration, vowed to continue their fight for justice until they receive the answers.
We don't want another historical truth for an investigation that showed deceitful findings on the disappearance of 43 student teachers in 2014. We want the government to speak truthfully about the cremation chambers and the extermination camp where many of the corpses of our relatives were found.
Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. In Belgrade, over 100,000 demonstrators observed minutes of silence during anti-graft rally. Romanians take part in a pro-EU rally in Bucharest.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
What is more important, fixing the present or planning for the future? Innovators across the globe rethinking the way we live to secure a better future for us.
I found out about the Rahi trade-in scheme. I went to the agency and discovered that I could receive a subsidy for this e-rickshaw.
We basically mirror that same process, but instead of water for one of our solutions, we use blocks powering about 35,000 homes.
Our goal is to send a message that it's important to fight for better urban air quality. And I think Liquid 3 sends that message.
We prepare fish amino acid by mixing the fish waste with jaggery. It is also an excellent organic fertilizer for plants and trees.
We're moving from the lab stage to industrial scale production. We still have a few challenges to deal with, but we've seen that it works.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Russia and Ukraine exchanged aerial attacks on Sunday, resulting in injuries and damage as a proposed 30-day ceasefire hangs in balance. Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed support for the ceasefire, but stipulated that his forces would continue fighting until certain conditions are met. The conflict escalated, with Ukraine launching drone attacks on the Russian border region of Belgorod injuring 3 people, including a 7-year-old. Russian air defense units retaliated, destroying over 15 Ukrainian drones in the Voronezh region. Ukraine reported several Russian drone strikes, including one that sparked a blaze in high-rise building in the Chernihiv region. Explosions were also reported in the Kiev region, prompting Ukraine's Air Force to issue warnings of potential drone attacks. The ongoing violence underscores the uncertainty surrounding the proposed ceasefire as both sides continue to trade blows. The international community remains concerned about the escalating conflict, with diplomatic efforts ongoing to broker a peaceful resolution. And U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov engaged in a phone call on Saturday, focusing on the next phase of negotiations to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict. According to State Department spokeswoman Tammy Bruce, the diplomats concurred on continuing efforts to restore U.S.-Russia communication. Rubio briefed Lavrov on recent U.S. military operations in the West Asia, including airstrikes against Houthi rebel targets in Yemen. Notwithstanding tensions between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky, Kiev has agreed in principle to a 30-day unconditional ceasefire contingent upon Moscow ceasing its attacks in eastern Ukraine. However, Russian President Vladimir Putin has declined to accept the truce, instead posting conditions that exceed the terms of U.S.-Ukraine agreement. The next round of U.S.-Russia talks, facilitated by Saudi Arabia, is anticipated, although a specific timeline remains unclear. And amid international efforts to end the 3-year Russia-Ukraine conflict, Ukrainian President Zelensky confirmed on Saturday that Ukrainian forces are still fighting in Russia's Kursk region, denying encirclement. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer held a virtual meeting with 25 European leaders, pressed on the need to defend any peace deal and maintain pressure on Russia. More in this report.
As diplomatic efforts continue to resolve the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Russian President Putin has responded positively to US President Donald Trump's appeal to spare Ukrainian forces encircled in the Kursk region, provided they surrender. However, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Saturday that Kyiv's forces are still fighting in Russia's Kursk region and were not encircled. He also stated that the situation near Pokrovsk had stabilized, though Russian forces were amassing along the border. On the other hand, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer held a virtual meeting with about 25 world leaders on Saturday, stating that they must be prepared to defend any Ukraine peace deal themselves, while urging them to maintain pressure on Russia.
Being prepared to defend any deal ourselves through a coalition of the willing. We've begun that process, and this morning we can take it forward. And then thirdly, and really importantly, given the developments of the last few days, to keep the pressure on Putin to come to the table. And I think collectively we've got a number of ways that we can do that.
After the virtual meeting with European leaders, Starmer addressed the media and announced that military chiefs would meet in the UK on Thursday to discuss plans for a peacekeeping force in Ukraine to safeguard any eventual ceasefire.
Our militaries will meet on Thursday this week here in the United Kingdom to put strong and robust plans in place to swing in behind a peace deal and guarantee Ukraine's future security.
French President Emmanuel Macron also joined the virtual meeting with the British Prime Minister and urged Russia to accept a ceasefire proposal. Ukrainian President Zelensky also addressed the meeting, stating that the path to peace must begin unconditionally. In a post on X, he added that if Russia refuses, strong pressure must be applied until they comply, as Moscow understands only one language. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on Friday that there was reason to be cautiously optimistic over the efforts to end the conflict, although he added there is still work to be done.
Suffice it to say, I think there is reason to be cautiously optimistic, but by the same token, we continue to recognize this is a difficult and complex situation.
Amid international efforts to end the 3-year Russia-Ukraine conflict, there is no sign of a pause on the battlefield as both Russia and Ukraine continue to launch barrages of drones at each other. The Ukrainian army on Saturday published a map on social media that showed its troops had retreated west towards the border, while a Russian drone hit Odessa residential area, destroying a house and damaging several others.
And during the same virtual meeting, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urged Kiev's Western allies to give a clear position on security guarantees, including about a potential foreign troop contingent on Ukrainian soil with a US backstop. Kiev has rejected Putin's demands that Ukraine drop ambitions to join NATO and limit the size of its army, and that Russia take control of the whole of 4 Ukrainian regions it claims as its own. Zelensky said the issue of territory was complicated and should be discussed later. He also said Kiev would never recognize occupied territory as Russian. Zelensky also said it was not true that Russia had retaken its Kursk region, which Ukrainian forces seized after an incursion across the border in August 2024.
Lying to everyone about the situation on the ground, especially about what's happening in the Kursk region, where our Ukrainian forces continue their operations. Our troops have also stabilized the situation on the front in Donetsk region. I mean, Pokrovsk. It's a big work of our heroes and this big success, I think so.
Now, March 16 marks the anniversary of the 2014 Crimean referendum, a vote that sparked international controversy and reshaped geopolitics. The referendum, held under Russian control, saw a majority of Crimean voters choose to join Russia, a move widely condemned by Ukraine and the West as illegal. Russia, however, considers it a legitimate expression of the people's will. As the region marks another year since the vote, tensions remain high. DD India's Anil Thomas gets us the details.
The referendum held on 16th of March 2014 saw Crimean officials report that over 96% of voters supported joining Russia. Days later, President Vladimir Putin signed a treaty formally annexing the region. However, Ukraine, the European Union and United States dismissed the vote as illegitimate, citing the presence of Russian troops and a lack of independent oversight. Each year, Russia commemorates the event with parades and speeches, while Ukrainian and Western countries impose sanctions. Meanwhile, ordinary Crimeans remain divided, some enjoying improved pensions and infrastructure under Russia, while others report crackdowns on dissent and restrictions on freedoms. As tensions between Russia and Ukraine continue, the status of Crimea remains a key point of contention on the global stage. Although Crimea is still governed by Russia, the political struggle for its status is far from done. One of the most divisive geopolitical conflicts of the 21st century is still the Crimea problem. The future of the region is still unclear despite ongoing diplomatic attempts. Bureau Report, DD India.
And thousands of Romanians took to the streets of Bucharest on Saturday to show their support for the European Union amid political disputes over a presidential election rerun scheduled for May. Romania is due to repeat its 2-round presidential election on May 4 and 18 after the Constitutional Court voided the initial ballot in December following accusations of Russian meddling in favor of Calin Georgescu, who had been leading in the polls. The cancellation of the ballot has placed the EU and NATO state at the center of a dispute between Europe and US. President Donald Trump's administration over free speech and suppressing political opponents, centrist and independent candidates are set to contest the election along with the hard right, which has scrambled to replace Georgescu.
Democracy is really at stake as we speak. We have far-right candidates that, based on a hate speech that they have been promoting for months, they are now maybe some of them on top for the next elections. And obviously with a state that never was never prepared for what happened back in November when the elections were cancelled. Well, if we put these together, we come to the result that democracy is really at stake at this moment. So the reason for which we are here, and we invite everyone to join us, it's democracy. It's not perfect, but obviously it's better than communism and Russian, Russian vibes.
And more than tens of thousands of protesters descended on Serbia's capital Belgrade on Saturday, marking one of the largest rallies in decades. Serbia has seen months of anti-government rallies after 15 people died from a railway station roof collapse, triggered accusations of widespread corruption and negligence. Streets were choked as protesters kept up a festive mood, lighting flares and chanting their slogan, "Pump it up." The protesters are demanding the release of documents about last year's railway station disaster in the city of Novi Sad and accountability for those responsible. Many had travelled hundreds of miles on foot or by bike. The government denies accusations of graft and incompetence and said that Western intelligence agencies are backing a push to destabilize Serbia. Now, SpaceX founder Elon Musk has said its massive Starship rocket would leave for Mars at the end of 2026, with Tesla humanoid robot Optimus on board, adding that human landings could follow as soon as 2029. Musk, who is the founder of SpaceX and Tesla, suggested in a post that human landings could begin as early as 2029, though 2031 was more likely if the initial landings go well. Starship is crucial to SpaceX's future satellite launch business, a sector it currently dominates with its partially reusable Falcon 9, as well as Musk's aspirations to colonize Mars. In November, sources said Musk's dream of transporting humans to Mars would become a bigger national priority under US President Donald Trump, signaling big changes for NASA's moon program and a boost for SpaceX. And NASA's Crew 10, which include 2 US astronauts and astronauts from Japan and Russia, arrives at the International Space Station in a mission that was accelerated to allow the Crew 9 crew to return from space. Their arrival marks the beginning of a new phase for the ISS crew. The new crew will replace Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore from International Space Station. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently had an engaging and thought-provoking conversation with renowned podcaster and AI researcher Lex Friedman. The discussion, lasting 3 hours, covered diverse topics including Prime Minister Modi's childhood, his formative years spent in the Himalayas, and his journey in public life. This much-anticipated 3-hour podcast with renowned AI researcher and podcaster is set to be aired on Sunday. Lex Friedman described the conversation as one of the most powerful conversations of his life. Responding to the ex-post of Lex Friedman about the upcoming podcast, PM Modi wrote on X, "It was indeed a fascinating conversation with Lex Friedman, covering diverse topics including reminiscing about my childhood, the years in the Himalayas, and the journey in public life. Do tune in and be a part of this dialogue." And New Zealand's Prime Minister Christopher Luxon is set to arrive in India on Sunday at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This marks Luxon's first visit to India in his current capacity, and he will be accompanied by a high-level delegation comprising ministers, officials, business leaders, media and members of the Indian diaspora community in New Delhi. During his visit, Luxon will engage in talks with PM Modi on March 17, covering various aspects of India-New Zealand relations. PM Modi will host a lunch in Luxon's honour, and the New Zealand Prime Minister is also scheduled to call on Indian President Draupadi Murmu. Luxon will be the chief guest at the 10th Raisina Dialogue 2025 in New Delhi, delivering the keynote address. He will also visit Mumbai, where he will interact with Indian business leaders and representatives from the various walks of life. The visit aims to strengthen bilateral ties between India and New Zealand across all sectors and deepen people-to-people connections. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. A Peruvian fisherman survived 95 days lost in the Pacific Ocean returns home. Maximo Napa had set off for a fishing trip from Marcona, a town on the southern Peruvian coast, on December 7. He packed food for a 2-week trip, but 10 days in, stormy weather threw his boat off course and he ended up adrift in the Pacific Ocean. His family launched a search, but Peru's maritime patrols were unable to locate him until Wednesday, when an Ecuadorian fishing patrol discovered him some 1,094 kilometers off the country's coast. Tiangong Ultra, an upgraded version of the humanoid robot is currently undergoing tests in preparation for a half marathon next month in Beijing. The race, set for April 13, will feature both robotic and human athletes competing on the same route but on separate tracks to ensure safety for all participants. The upcoming half marathon will be an exciting test of Tiangong Ultra's capabilities, and it will be interesting to see how it performs alongside human athletes. An oil spill in northwestern Ecuador has turned a river black, prompting authorities to declare an environmental emergency amid unprecedented damage and to order residents to ration drinking water. The spill, believed caused when a landslide ruptured a major oil pipeline, has turned waters black in a section of the Esmeraldas River. Authorities are working to contain the spill and prevent further environmental damage. And Bangui, the capital of the Central African Republic, has been suffering from an electricity blackout for several days now, coupled with water shortages, forcing some residents to wait several hours to fetch water. The effects of these shortages are far-reaching, impacting not only daily life but also health and safety. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. India's Minister Ashwini Vaishnav announces development of 2 major electronics manufacturing clusters in Tamil Nadu. Dr. Lex Juneja, distinguished recipient of the prestigious Prasar Bharati Samman, honoured at Indian Embassy in Tokyo. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Recap of what we have done so far. Prime Minister's podcast with AI researcher Lex Friedman to be aired today. Podcast covers diverse topics. US launches wave of airstrikes on Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthis over group's attacks against Red Sea shipping. Donald Trump also warns Iran. Deadly tornadoes ripped through several parts of US, at least 33 killed, more tornadoes forecast in southeastern states. India's Minister of Electronics and Information Technology Ashwini Vaishnav visited the IIT Madras Centre for Innovation on Saturday, which organized its annual open house event showcasing 60 cutting-edge technological innovations developed by nearly 1,000 students across 26 teams. CFI, one of India's largest student-run innovation labs, houses 14 clubs spanning diverse technological domains alongside 8 competition teams that actively participate in national and international events. And India's Minister for Railways, Electronics and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnav, on Saturday inspected the work being done to develop a Hyperloop pod in the southern Indian city of Chennai. A Hyperloop pod is a pressurized vehicle designed to travel at high speeds within a low-pressure tube, utilizing magnetic levitation and propulsion to minimize friction and air resistance. IIT Madras has successfully developed a prototype Hyperloop pod that would take very less time to travel. The project is supported by India's Ministry of Railways. DD India's Jai Singh has filed this report from Chennai.
India's Minister of Railways, Communications and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnav, has expressed satisfaction over the pace of development of the emerging fastest transportation technology called Hyperloop at IIT Madras. The minister visited the Discovery campus of the IIT in the southern Indian city of Chennai on Saturday and witnessed the demonstration of the subscale prototype of the pod of the Hyperloop named as Garud Vahan. Addressing the media, the minister assured the team of the young developers of the Hyperloop prototype that the integral coach factory in Chennai under the Ministry of Railways will give all assistance for the development of the electronic systems and subsystems as well as software for the Hyperloop.
Let's be very, very focused on the quality, focused on safety, focused on how do we scale up this entire experiment once we do the prototypes and everything. So keep that ultimate goal in mind. Try to be as much out of the lab as you can.
Earlier, speaking to DD India, IIT Madras director said the Hyperloop track established within the campus is the longest in Asia. He expressed hope that in 5 years the technology will take a final shape and will be ready for commercial use in the country.
What you see here is the 420-meter track that we have. Here only we conducted the international competition, the first of its kind in Asia. Railways had already supported us with close to 20 crores and another $1 million is announced by the Honorable Minister. And I hope we will really come up with something very explorative and very important for our next generation transportation.
Professor Satya R. Chakravarti, who guided a team of over 60 young engineering students of the institute in developing the Hyperloop, told DD India that the deep tech-based transport mode can reach up to 600 km per hour once it comes to an operational stage. He also said the technology will have several spin-off in areas like freight movement at a faster pace.
The original goal was to actually participate in the competition that Elon Musk was running, but we wanted to actually move the competition here, and for that reason we wanted to decide to build the entire vacuum tube here itself. So to that end we have actually been working towards the stage 1 where we will demonstrate a subscale vacuum tube that we are seeing in the background of this and a pod run in the vacuum. So in the next 2 to 3 months we should actually completely demonstrate a levitating pod run in the vacuum tube. That's what we are working on.
The young engineers and students who were involved in the Hyperloop later explained its modalities to Union Minister. Hyperloop is an emerging deep tech-based technology that has promising potential in highly reducing travel time, almost at par with the civil aviation sector. The technology is now at the nascent stage, and once it reaches its commercial phase, India will be one of the custodians of the prestigious technology. Jai Singh for DD India in Chennai.
India's Minister of Electronics and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnav, inaugurated a private electronics factory, Zetwork, in South Indian state of Tamil Nadu's Tiruvallur district on Saturday. The minister also laid the foundation stone for expansion projects at the facility. The event marked a significant step in India's journey to becoming a global hub for electronics production. The minister emphasized the growing importance of electronics in India's export portfolio.
Electronics has become the second largest export item. Second largest export item in the country, overtaking many conventional industries which had developed export over decades. And just see, within 1 decade, electronics has become the second largest. And this was possible primarily because of a very clear thinking and very focused execution. And in the execution, the state governments have all supported. So I thank all the state governments, including the government of Tamil Nadu, for all the support which has come in execution of Prime Minister Modi ji's vision.
And in a celebration of achievement and community spirit, the Indian Embassy in Tokyo recently honored Dr. Lex Juneja, a distinguished recipient of the prestigious Prasar Bharati Samman. This recognition highlights his exceptional contributions to strengthening ties between India and Japan. DD India's Paulomi Burman gets us this report.
The Indian Embassy looked all lit with dignitaries and guests who gathered to congratulate Dr. Lex Juneja for his achievement. Lake Raj's journey exemplifies the spirit of the Indian diaspora, and his work has left an indelible mark on the community here in Japan. The Prasar Bharati Samman, India's highest honor for overseas Indians, is a testament to his extraordinary efforts. Dr. Lex Juneja was honored with the Prasar Bharati Samman by the President of India, Draupadi Murmu, in January for his 40 years of dedication towards connecting India and Japan through the field of science, technology and business.
Ambassador C.B. George, he was very kind to nominate me and to facilitate this award. And then I didn't expect there'll be 200 people around. So there were friends, there were people who were part of my journey 40 years, and there were very important dignitaries around, to celebrate this. I was so impressed, that the Chief Minister, Foreign Minister are sending the word from India. It was overwhelming. It was beautiful.
The event emphasized on the significance of Lex Raj's contributions, highlighting his role as a bridge between the two nations. The Ambassador of India to Japan, C.B. George, felicitated Dr. Lex Juneja for his achievement. He also mentioned that Dr. Juneja's story will work as an inspiration for the youth living in Japan.
Thank you very much. We are now assembled here to felicitate Mr. Lex Juneja, the winner of Prasar Bharati Samman Award 2025. It's a proud moment for the diaspora in Japan, and I dedicate this award to the Indian youth in Japan. The future of India-Japan relationship depends on the youth. It's very important that there is regular engagement and connectivity between the youth of the two countries. We are currently working on to get more Indian youth to come to Japan, both as students and also highly skilled professionals. I'm sure that this award would be an inspiration for the youth to dedicate themselves for India's growth and India-Japan relationship, how to promote that.
It's a feeling of pride and celebration here today. Dr. Lex Juneja's achievement serves as an inspiration to the entire Indian community here. This celebration here today at the embassy is not only to celebrate his past achievements, but also to inspire the younger generation living here in Tokyo. This is Paulami Burman reporting for DD India from Tokyo.
And a recently published scientific report shows that life expectancy is stagnating in Europe. This is due to a growing increase in unhealthy lifestyles. Take a look at this report from Mark Limburg in the Netherlands.
Life expectancy in Europe is no longer increasing as it once did. A recent study published in The Lancet highlights how unhealthy lifestyles are a major factor in this stagnation. Poor diet, lack of exercise, and smoking contribute to worsening public health. What's behind this trend and what can be done to change it?
Various reasons. One of them is likely the COVID pandemic that of course caused several deaths, but also an important one is the increasing rate of obesity prevalence in Europe. And obesity is a chronic disease. Also, people with a lower health literacy have an increased risk to develop obesity, and that accounts for the whole European population. Within Europe, we especially see that in the UK population. The lifestyle factors likely really play a role in that.
We asked people on the street if this stagnation comes as a surprise and what they think is the cause.
Nou, het verbaast me. Ik zit in mijn 80ste levensjaar. En ik denk dat iedereen wel zo fris en gezond en actief kan zijn.
Eetgewoontes, misschien dat mensen niet goed eten, heel veel stress. Altijd plastic wat we ongemerkt binnenkrijgen.
Some countries have already introduced policies to promote healthier living. Will these efforts be enough to reverse the decline?
One of the things that the policymakers should do is make our environment more healthy, make it more possible to make healthy choices, like a sugar tax, make unhealthy food more expensive. Also at schools, at primary schools, make it an obligation to bring healthy food so that children already learn from a young age what healthy food is.
Mark Limburg reporting from the Erasmus University in Rotterdam, the Netherlands.
Let's now take a look at other stories making news. The abrogation of Article 370 has transformed Jammu and Kashmir into a hub for global investments, drawing international businesses to the region. Among the trailblazers is Singapore-based Mirage Group, which has launched an AI-powered beauty aesthetic academy in Srinagar. Aligned with the centre's vision of fostering innovation and encouraging investments in Kashmir, this initiative is poised to create significant employment opportunities and empower aspiring professionals. Union Home Minister Amit Shah, during his Northeast visit, gifted a guitar to 7-year-old Mizoram prodigy Esther Namte after her heartfelt rendition of Vande Mataram in Amit Shah praised her patriotic spirit, calling her performance mesmerizing and a testament to the unity of Bharat. Esther, who gained fame in 2020 for her viral Ma Tujhe Salam video, has received multiple accolades, including special recognition from Mizoram's governor. The Atharo festival, observed every 20 years, is being celebrated with great zeal at Usha Mata Temple in Kinnaur. This rare and revered cultural event began following the conclusion of Phagli Utsav and showcases a unique blend of faith, traditions and community spirit. Devi's palanquin, traditionally unsealed annually, was kept intact this year to honor requests for prosperity and a good harvest. The festival holds special significance as married women adorned in traditional attire along with their families gather to participate in folk dances and rituals, preserving the rich heritage of Kinnaur. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. River dyed green for St. Patrick's Day in Midwest city of Chicago, Illinois. And an athlete runs 850 kilometers through Moroccan desert to raise climate awareness. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. Chicago's beloved St. Patrick's Day tradition unfolded once again on Saturday as thousands converged downtown to witness the majestic Chicago River transformed into a dazzling green hue. This enduring spectacle, now over 60 years young, is lovingly orchestrated by the Chicago Journeyman Plumbers Local Union 130. With great fanfare, 40 pounds of environmentally friendly vegetable-based dye are poured into a quarter-mile stretch of the river, yielding a resplendent emerald green color. The union assures that the orange-red powder is non-toxic and harmless to wildlife, making this festive tradition a guilt-free delight. As the river remains green for several hours, the city revels in the joy and magic of this iconic celebration. All right, sports updates now. We'll start with Special Olympics. India's special athletes made the nation proud at the Special Olympics World Winter Games 2025 in Turin. Their victories in snowboarding, speed skating and other events prove that determination has no limits. More than medals, their success is inspiring a more inclusive society. Report by DD India's Narayan Singh from Turin.
The Special Olympics World Winter Games 2025 in Turin has been a proud moment for India. The athletes have not only won medals but also won hearts. Their victories prove that determination has no limits. From Bharati's double gold in snowboarding to Zaria and Tanshu's medals in speed skating, India's special athletes have made history. Their success is more than personal glory, and it is a step towards a more inclusive society.
मैं सबसे पहले धन्यवाद दूंगा मलिका मैम का जो उन्होंने इन एथलीट्स के लिए इतना कुछ करा है और जो उनकी सपोर्ट की वजह से हम लोग यहाँ पे पहुँच रहे हैं और उनकी सपोर्ट की वजह से जो हमारे एथलीट्स हैं मेडल्स ला रहे हैं बहुत बड़ी अचीवमेंट है हम लोगों के लिए और बहुत थैंकफुल हमारे जितने भी एथलीट्स हैं मैम को तहे दिल से धन्यवाद देते हैं जो उनके सपोर्ट से हम लोग इतना आगे बढ़ रहे हैं तो ये बहुत बड़ा मंच है एथलीट्स के लिए कि मतलब हमारे इंडिया से बाहर आके हम किसी और कंट्री में जाके हम लोग मेडल्स ला रहे हैं इट्स अ वेरी गुड अचीवमेंट फॉर एथलीट्स
For many parents of children with intellectual disabilities, these achievements bring hope. Watching Indian athletes shine on the global stage sends a powerful message. It encourages parents to support their children in sports and believe in their potential. Coach Monica also says these victories will help change society's mindset.
मैं पूरे समाज को पूरी कम्युनिटी को ये कहना चाहूंगी कि इन बच्चे को ये बच्चे भी किसी से कम नहीं है इनको दया की दृष्टि से ना देखें और इनको मोटिवेट करें ताकि ये भी मेन धारा के साथ जुड़ सके और जैसा कि आप देख ही रहे हो इस मंच पे ये बच्चे आके कितना अच्छा प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं
This change has been made possible by Special Olympics Bharat, the organization providing training, support, and opportunities to special athletes. These athletes are more than champions, they are symbols of hope. Their success inspires schools, workplaces, and communities to be more inclusive.
The achievements of our special athletes go beyond medals and competition. They challenge stereotypes, inspire change, and pave the way for more inclusive society. Every victory they achieve is a powerful example of the strength of determination and the importance of equal opportunities. When these athletes shine on global stage, they redefine what is possible for individuals with intellectual disabilities. With camera person Satyanarayan, Narayan Singh, DD India, Turin.
And to talk more on this, Narayan Singh joins us from Turin, Italy. Narayan, tell us how significant was India's performance at the Special Olympics World Winter Games 2025 in Turin in shaping a more inclusive sports culture?
Absolutely amazing performance by Indian athletes. Indian athletes delivered outstanding performance, making nation proud, competing against the top contenders from across the world. They showcased immense determination, resilience, and skill, and we can say that it's a big achievement for them. India's presence, if we talk about cross-country skiing, was strongly felt as Akriti put in a commanding effort and secured bronze medal in the 50-meter classical technique final. And apart from this, in snowshoeing, athletes contributed significantly to the medal tally with their stellar performances. Vasu Tiwari led the way with winning a gold medal in 50-meter race, while Jahangir and Tanya put in exceptional effort to claim silver medals in the same event. And Shalini Chauhan further strengthened India's position by securing bronze medal in the 50-meter race category. The Indian contingent was absolutely stunning. They continued in the 200-meter race also, where Anil Kumar dominated the field and secured a gold medal in the M12 division. Harleen Kaur put a strong performance to clinch silver medal for the country. These victories were, we can say, that a reflection to the grit and dedication and the sporting spirit of India's athletes, proving their ability to compete at the highest level. And with over 1,500 athletes from 102 countries participating, Special Olympic World Winter Games provided a powerful platform for inclusivity, allowing every athlete an opportunity to shine on the global stage.
Also, Narayan, tell us about the key highlights of the Special Olympics World Winter Games closing ceremony in Turin.
The curtains have come down on a spectacular celebration of inclusion and determination as the Special Olympic World Winter Games concluded with a heartwarming closing ceremony at Pala Asti in Turin. The night was filled with emotions, pride, and athletes from all across the globe paraded one last time, embracing the spirit of sportsmanship and unity. And talking about the message, the Sergeant Shriver Global Messenger Yerul delivered a moving piano performance, setting the stage for powerful speeches that echoed with the commitment to the movement of inclusion on the global stage. As the Special Olympic flag was lowered, the anthem played, reminding the world that this movement is bigger than just sport. It is about breaking barriers and changing the perception. The unveiling of the 2027 Special Olympic World Summer Games video gave a glimpse of the journey ahead, keeping the flame of the inclusion burning bright. And overall, a spectacular world-class game, dance, and a cover band performance turned the arena into a festival of joy before the games were officially declared closed. But all in all, the true legacy of these games will be live on in the hearts of every athlete, volunteer, and supporter who believes in the power of sports to unite here and uplift the people. The inclusion revolution marches forward stronger than ever.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for giving us the latest from Turin. Mumbai Indians secured their second Women's Premier League title after defeating Delhi Capitals by 8 runs in a thrilling final at Mumbai on Saturday. Harmanpreet Kaur's team successfully defended a target of 150, denying Delhi their maiden championship yet again. The skipper saved her best for the big day as a scintillating 44 balls 66 was instrumental in taking MI to a fighting 149 for 7 despite underwhelming effort from the other batters. While it seemed that MI posted a below-par score on a good batting track, Delhi Capitals batters put undue pressure on themselves to finish at 141 for 9 despite late surge from Marizani Cap and teenager Nikki Prasad. And German adventurer Tanja Braun has completed an extraordinary 850-kilometer trek across the Saharan desert, braving extreme temperatures, 3 sandstorms and grueling conditions. Starting on February 25th, Braun's solo run from Erg Shigaga to Erg Chibibi following the 150-kilometer Trans-Saharan Marathon aimed to raise awareness about climate change and water conservation. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.